This has to be the year for Penn State. The Nittany Lions finally broke through and made the college football playoff under James Franklin. Granted, they needed it to get expanded to 12 teams for them to do that, but regardless, they got there and made the most of it. Made the playoff semifinals where they arguably should have won that game, but ultimately lost in heartbreaking fashion to Notre Dame, throwing an interception with just a little over 30 seconds left and lost 27-24. But now you can argue that James Franklin has his best team yet in Happy Valley. Best team yet, meaning that if he and the program want to win the whole thing, to bring a national championship to Penn State, this has to be the year to do it. It has to be now. You take a look at the offense for the Nittany Lions. They're loaded. I mean, this is a team that, could have lost a lot of talent. They already did lose quite a bit of talent to the NFL, but could have lost even more to the NFL, to the transfer portal. But a lot of guys choosing to come back. A guy like Drew Aller, their quarterback, who threw for over 3,300 yards and 24 touchdowns last year to just 8 interceptions. So a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Took, I thought, a big step forward under new offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki. Their top 2 running backs, was a surprise to see both of them come back. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen both rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. 20 combined touchdowns between the two. They do return after leading the Nittany Lions with 202 rushing yards per game last year. They have an elite offensive line, will be one of the best offensive lines in the country. And the Nittany Lions addressed the wide receiver position in the transfer portal. If you go back and look last year, they did not have many true wide receivers. Their leading pass catcher was their tight end, Tyler Warren, had over 1,200 reception yards. It was a great security blanket for Drew Aller, but he's gone. And actually, the top 3 pass catchers from last year are all gone. So they went into the transfer portal, added a guy like Kyron Hudson coming in from USC. Trevor Pena coming in from Syracuse had nearly 1,000 reception yards with the Orange last year. Devontae Ross had over 1,000 reception yards last year and was a first-team Sun Belt Conference selection at Troy. So 3 elite wide receivers to go along with Drew Aller, to go along with an offensive line that's elite, to go along with 2 of the best running backs in the country. They are the best duo in the country. Penn State's looking great on offense and should easily exceed, or at least match, their 33.1 points per game from last year. Defensively, they went all in. Jim Knowles, baby. The Nittany Lions poached Jim Knowles away from Ohio State. Knowles went to Ohio State, won a national championship, and goes, I'm going to go try to do the same thing now at Penn State. A massive, massive hire for what is, in my opinion, the best defensive mind in college football as of right now. It has been for a while. And last year's defense was good for Penn State. They only gave up 16.5 points per game, less than 300 yards per game. Yes, they lose 3 of their top 4 tacklers, including Abdul Carter, but Danny Dittis-Sutton returns on the defensive line, had 8.5 sacks last year. He is paired, of course, with Zane Durant up front, Tony Rojas, and Dominic DeLuca, anchor what should be a very strong linebacking core, and the secondary, going to be great. Zakee Wheatley, back in the secondary, was a 3rd on the team in tackles, 96 tackles, 3 interceptions. A.J. Harris is back, and they also add King Mack in from Alabama. This team as a whole, guys, is stacked from top to bottom. There really aren't any glaring weaknesses on this Penn State team on either side of the ball, once again showing that if they want to win the whole thing, it needs to be this year. Take a look at their schedule. They're going to cruise past the non-conference, 3-0. I mean, come on, Nevada, Florida International, Villanova. It's an absolute joke of a non-conference schedule. No issues there, but a great opportunity for these wide receivers to get some experience and build some chemistry. Great opportunity for the defense to understand how Jim Knowles is going to call things during a game. No issues there. Come out of the bye week, an early bye week, and they take on Oregon. What a great opening Big Ten matchup. A rematch of last year's Big Ten championship game. The whiteout game for Penn State this year should be a top 10 matchup between the Ducks and the Nittany Lions. Last year in the Big Ten title, Oregon won 45-37. Penn State put up over 500 yards of offense on the Ducks, who went undefeated and won the conference before ultimately losing to Ohio State in their first game of the college football playoff. The Ducks, though, they lose a lot from last year. They lose Dylan Gabriel. They lose their top rusher. They lose a lot of their top pass catchers. They're going to have to bring in a lot of transfers on the offensive and defensive lines. If those guys don't gel, the Ducks could struggle a little bit, and we don't know how great Dante Moore is going to be at quarterback. This will be the toughest environment Moore has faced in his young career with the Ducks. We know he played a little bit at UCLA a couple of years prior, but to come into Happy Valley in their whiteout game, that's a tall task for any team, let alone a team that's kind of breaking in a new quarterback and a lot of new pieces from such a good squad last year. Penn State's winning this game. Look, it's very rare they lose on the whiteout game, period, but they're winning this game for sure. I think Penn State owns the edge in every single aspect against Oregon. Every single aspect. They only edge offensively, defensively, home field advantage. They're going to win this game. And you could also argue this is the toughest road game for Oregon in Dan Lanning's tenure. Really didn't face too many elite, environments during his time in the Pac-12. Last year, they played at Michigan. They played at Wisconsin. So sure, not bad. Those places are tough, but Penn State on the whiteout game is a completely different level. So in his 4th year in Eugene, this will be the toughest environment Dan Lanning has coached in, and Penn State will get the best of him. Avenging last year's Big Ten title loss, they're 4-0. I think they cruised past UCLA. I think they cruised past Northwestern. They only beat UCLA 27-11 last year. Were held to 322 yards. So maybe a bit of a trap game, maybe a little hungover, an emotional hangover after the big win over Oregon. But I still just don't think the Bruins had the offense to exploit this Penn State defense. So they should get the job done there and should again cruise past Northwestern, who will be more competitive this year, but not enough to beat an elite team like Penn State, let alone in Happy Valley. They go on the road to Iowa. Iowa's got a lot of big home games this year. Penn State is one of them. This feels like a trap game for the Nittany Lions. You're undefeated right now. You're preparing for the bye week. You know Ohio State's looming large here in a couple of weeks. And we know how difficult Kinnick Stadium is. We know some Kinnick magic could be in the cards for the Hawkeyes at least some point this year. The last time Penn State played at Iowa, they lost 23-20. That was back in 2021. Number 3 and number 4 team in the country. Iowa obviously will not be a top 5 team at this point. The last time these two teams played 2 years ago in 2023, Penn State did win 31-0. Iowa's offense simply is not good enough to exploit this Penn State defense. Again, this is going to be one of the best defenses in the country. So while I think Penn State could come out a little bit sluggish, while the Penn State offense might be a little bit slow coming out against what should be a decent Iowa defense, eventually they're going to wear them down. Iowa does not have enough to keep up over the course of a full 60 minutes. Penn State will win this game. They are undefeated. What is that? 7-0 heading into their bye week, heading into the month of November. And the month of November, the very first day of the month, they play Ohio State. One of the biggest games of the year. Penn State has not been able to shake the Demons, has not been able to get past the Buckeyes since they upset them back in 2016. They lost 20-13 last year, a game where, again, many people think they could have won, should have won. They were up 10-0, blew that lead, had a crazy interception that they threw in the corner of the end zone at the end of the first half. They were stuffed at the goal line, 4th and goal from the 1, late in the 4th quarter, stuffed there. Ohio State ultimately winning by 7. Penn State has lost 8 straight games to the Buckeyes. Again, has not won since they pulled off that massive upset back in 2016. They've been so close so many times. Last year, no exception, and they just haven't been able to get over the hump. Many think this could be the year. Ohio State, reigning national champions, take a bit of a step back, lose quite a bit from last year's national title squad. This feels like the year Penn State can finally, get the monkey off their back, finally win the game, right? No. I can't do it. I cannot pick Penn State to do this when I haven't seen them do it. It's been 8 years, guys. 8 straight games they've lost. I cannot pick them to do it now. Can the secondary contain Jeremiah Smith? How does Julian Sayin pan out? Will Drew Aller, live up to the hype, and will he deliver in such a hostile environment against what should be a very good Ohio State back 7? Again, I think Penn State, this is the year they can do it. This feels like the best team they have to do it, but I cannot pick them to do it because they have not shown me that they can. So I do think they will lose to Ohio State. I think they're going to drop that game. I think it's going to be very close, as we've seen time and time again between the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions, but at home in Columbus in what could be a top 5 matchup, I just got to go with the Buckeyes there. I just don't see it happening. So Penn State takes their first loss of the season, but rest assured, Nittany Lion fans, your season's not done. In years past, it may have been. This year, it's not. You will win out the rest of the way. Rest assured, you win out the rest of the way. You will beat Indiana. They are 13-0 all-time at home against Indiana. And while the Hoosiers were a playoff team last year, while they do have a lot of talent coming in, especially through the transfer portal again, this will be a very hostile environment, one of the toughest environments Curt Cignetti's faced in his young tenure at Indiana. They played at Ohio State last year, got crushed. I think they actually probably will get crushed here in Happy Valley, assuming that James Franklin rallies his troops and does not let them have an emotional hangover. Indiana's a good football team. They'll come ready to throw a punch. Penn State is the better team. As long as they're not hungover, as long as their head's still in the game, they get this win. They'll cruise past Michigan State on the road. Should be improved statistically and competitively. Not enough to beat the Nittany Lions. They will beat Nebraska on Senior Day, their first meeting against the Cornhuskers since 2020. Nebraska coming into this game could be 7-3, 8-2, could be looking really good. And I think this is an opportunity where you might see a top 15, top 20 showdown. Everybody's going to hype this game up and think Nebraska has a chance. They simply do not. Penn State is way too good. Nebraska is going to be much better. They are a good team, but not enough, again, to come in and beat the Nittany Lions in the cold on senior day. Not going to happen. They win that game, and then they will beat Rutgers as well. Even though it is on the road, Penn State has won 17 straight games versus Rutgers, and the Scarlet Knights offense, once again, simply not good enough, I think, to exploit this Penn State defense, especially with so much riding on the line for the Nittany Lions here. So with that, they're going 11-1. You could argue they go 12-0 if they can get past Ohio State. Again, this is the best chance I feel like they've had in a long time, even though they've been very competitive in recent years. 11-1, 8-1 in conference play, pretty much a guarantee to get them back to the Big Ten Championship. Whether they win that or lose that, it doesn't matter. They're going to go to the college football playoff where they will have a shot to win a national championship. They were so close to being in the national championship game last year. It feels like this is the year they can finally get there. It feels like you can finally win it. And honestly, if you're asking me, I think anything less than a national title is a disappointment for Penn State. The stars are aligning for them. The schedule is great. You're getting Oregon at home. Your toughest game outside of that is Ohio State on the road. Schedule lines up perfectly. The talent lines up perfectly. You've got a fantastic head coach in James Franklin. You've got an opportunity. You've got a great defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. I mean, what a massive hire that was. The stars are aligning. The Nittany Lions are going all in. It, to me, is national title or bust in Happy Valley. The question is, will they deliver? So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, home to tons of exclusive content that you do not want to miss out on. Become a member of our GE Nation today. Again, the link for that down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.